transcending history and the world, a tale of soul and swords, eternally retold.
So beautiful.
Amitofo. We are back, dear viewers, with another video of yours truly, the 8-Bit Academic, with some more classic 90s era gameplay and some more random fun facts about various topics, which I'm sure you all understand the process by now. Today's video game feature, I will be taking a look at another one of the early 3D fighting games from the mid-90s, which was developed by Namco, or as they are known today as Bandai Namco. Soul Blade, or sometimes also known as Soul Edge, which was also the very first entry in what would eventually evolve into the long-running Soul Calibur series, which Bandai Namco seems to have abandoned these days.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
The main difference between Soul Edge or Soul Blade and most other 3D fighters at the time, which I'm sure you can all notice, was the fact that each character had their own weapons, which went hand in hand with a character's personal fighting style. But Soul Blade wouldn't be the only fighting game to incorporate this unique mechanic, being predated by SNK's Samurai Showdown, first released in 1993, and Battle Arena Toshinden in 1995. With Soul Blade itself being released in 1996 for arcades as Soul Edge and for the Sony PlayStation console. In this footage, I'm playing as a character named Li Long, who sports a bladed nunchaku, and who for some reason Namco has also abandoned, since he has not appeared in any of the sequels ever since this first game. I do recall, however, that you can unlock him as an extra generic character in Soul Calibur 3, but he isn't part of the main roster. Seems as if Namco sure likes to ignore what fans actually want and enjoy. The plot centers upon a magical but cursed sword, which shares the same name as the title of the game called Soul Edge, rumored to offer unlimited power to anyone who can find and wield it, leading to 9 warriors attempting to pursue the 10th, who is rumored to have the sword, but with each of them not realizing that whoever wields Soul Edge will themselves be overwhelmed and become possessed by the evil that resides within the blade. So with today's topic, I kinda wanted to do a follow-up on the last video I made regarding the Shaolin Temple, its history, and whether or not the warrior monks can actually fight. In that video, I briefly mentioned the massive scandal involving the temple's abbot, Shi Yongxin, who had been arrested earlier this year for being involved in some really shady business. So I thought, why not make a fully dedicated video delving a little deeper into said scandals that he was involved in, as well as maybe touching on what could be next in line for the legendary Shaolin Temple, now that a new abbot has been elected to take the former one's place, and maybe take a look at some authentic Shaolin Kung Fu styles. Since I only found out afterwards that authentic Shaolin martial arts does still exist, just that currently it won't really be found at the temple itself. If you want to know more about the actual history of the Shaolin Temple, do go and check out that first video I made, which I have linked to below, but also at the end of the video if you haven't done so already. So to pick a general starting point, let's talk a bit more about what exactly an abbot is. Well, you can think of the abbot in the same way you would think of a priest or a pastor at a church, but usually the role of an abbot would be more common among those who choose to lead monastic or ascetic lives, as in religious people who choose to leave behind their worldly lives and decide to go and live at a monastery, either for a certain period of time or for the rest of their days, often taking on spiritual vows and abstaining from all forms of materialism, indulgence, excess, and basically all the fun things in life, choosing to instead devote themselves to enlightenment and other spiritual or religious pursuits, with the abbot usually serving not only as the spiritual guide and teacher to those who choose to walk this path in joining a monastery, but also as the head of the monastery itself, who manages the day-to-day affairs, such as making sure it runs efficiently. The term itself comes from the Aramaic word Abba, which means father, and also evolved later on in other languages like Latin in the form of Abbas, in Old English as Abbot, and French as Abbet. Now, while the word most certainly has more Western roots and is usually applied to the head of a Christian monastery, such as those found in Anglicanism and Catholicism, it has also been applied to monasteries that exist in the East, and particularly those that belong to the Buddhist faith. However, in Chinese, the proper term for an abbot would either be fangzhang or zhuqi. There is also another less common translation as well, called Xiu Daozhang. Hopefully I don't piss off any Mandarin speakers with my terrible pronunciations. 是 So now that I have attempted to give a decent explanation regarding who or what exactly an abbot is, let's first take a look at who the previous abbot of Shaolin Temple was and what exactly he did to incur the wrath of China's law enforcement. Shi Yongxin was born as Liu Yingcheng in the year 1968. By the time he was 16 in the year 1984, he would decide to go on to study Buddhism and slowly begin adopting a more monastic lifestyle. After having completed his studies at various Buddhist colleges, at the age of 22, he would eventually join the Shaolin Temple and later on be chosen as the successor to the previous abbot in the year 1999. Shi has served as chairman of the Hainan Province Buddhist Association, vice chairman of the Buddhist Association of China, and a delegate to the 9th through 12th sessions of the National People's Congress. His responsibilities were both scholarly and ecclesiastical, including presiding over major ceremonies at the Shaolin Temple. Now, despite all that rigorous studying of the tenets of Buddhism and wanting to lead an enlightened and monastic lifestyle, Shi would instead go on to do the exact opposite and would manage the temple as if it were a business enterprise rather than a religious center for Buddhist teachings, earning himself the nickname of the CEO monk, which also led to quite a lot of criticism as many accused him of being a hypocrite. And while the common image of a Buddhist monk is usually one of piety, enlightenment, little to no attachments, discipline, righteousness, and peace, Shi Yongxin would engage in extreme amounts of excess, as he would accept lavish gifts from wealthy elites, promote the temple through paid advertisements, and implementing fees for admission, and even incense burning. So while you may be going to the temple to do your daily prayers, offerings, or meditations, Shi would be slapping a hefty price tag onto the very incense sticks you would need in order to perform such religious practices. During his time as the abbot, the Shaolin Temple would attract an estimated 3 to 5 million visitors annually, generating over 3 million renminbi each year from entrance fees and incense offerings alone. As of 2023, Shi Yongxin controls about 18 companies. The temple has registered more than 700 trademarks across categories such as food, lodgings, and jewelry. Shaolin cultural centers operate in over 50 countries and regions worldwide, with a global following of more than 3 million international disciples, and despite all the criticism, Shi has defended his actions by arguing that commercialization is a modern means to promote and preserve traditional Shaolin culture. Now you might be thinking, okay, so he turned the temple into a business. It's the only way for it to survive in the modern era, and all religions are run in a similar way anyway.
That's right, folks. Longtime owner Mr. Krabs is opening a new restaurant called the Krusty Krab 2. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
So what exactly then is the big deal, and why did he end up getting arrested? Well, for starters, dating back to around the year 2011, a rumor began surfacing online that accused Shi Yongxin of soliciting prostitution, which is illegal in mainland China, which also led to an investigation by local authorities. In 2015, more rumors surfaced online about the CEO Abbot, holding multiple identifications and allegedly being excommunicated twice for theft in the 1980s by the previous abbot Shi Yinle in 1987 and Dai Chan in 1988, both actions being approved by the Buddhist Association of China in 1988, thereby rendering his succession to the abbacy illegitimate and making one wonder how exactly he managed to weasel his way into becoming the abbot in the first place.
The secret ingredient is crime.
The rumors also alleged that Shi had sexually assaulted a Buddhist nun, maintained multiple mistresses, and had fathered 2 daughters in the early 1990s with another nun named Shi Yinle. However, the temple administration and Shi Yongxin had denied these allegations.
Accusations! These are not accusations. This is false accusations. And
Many of these rumors were attributed to an online poster going by the name of Shi Yinle, which was later on claimed to be the former head of the warrior monks named Shi Yinle, who denied the connection but also stated that he agrees with the allegations. And in case you're wondering why all the monks at the temple have the beginning name of Shi, well, it's not because they're all related, but because the Chinese word Shi is an abbreviation of Shi Jiamo Ni, which is a sinification or Chinesifying of the Buddha's name, which was Shakyamuni. This is given to monks when they join the temple to signify that they are disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings. Shakyamuni Buddha being a sort of clan name of Gautama Siddhartha of the Shakya clan in a region of what is today part of Nepal, who would go on to become the Buddha or the Awakened One and eventually be the founder of Buddhism. In August 2015, however, Shi Yinle, the former head of the warrior monks, as well as a group of other monks from the Shaolin Temple, formally submitted a written report to the National Religious Affairs Administration, largely reiterating the online allegations. The case was subsequently referred to the Hainan Religious Affairs Bureau, which concluded in November 2015 that the accusations were unfounded.
Corruption is not bad. corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
Unfortunately though, the bad guys do end up losing in the end, and Shi Yongxin would finally face the consequences of his not so enlightened actions. On the 27th of July 2025, the Shaolin Temple announced that Shi Yongxin was under investigation for alleged criminal misconduct, including the embezzlement and misappropriation of temple funds and assets. He was also accused of serious violations of Buddhist monastic discipline, including maintaining improper relationships with multiple women and fathering illegitimate children. The following day, the Buddhist Association of China announced the revocation of his monastic credentials upon recommendation of the Hainan Provincial Buddhist Association, and eventually also leading to his arrest by Chinese law enforcement. Apparently he tried to flee the country with his many kids and mistresses, but was apprehended at the airport. So it seems that maybe all those online accusations between the years of 2011 and 2015 were probably true after all. Now a lot of speculation has been going on surrounding the case of Shi Yongxin and his crimes, with many outside observers believing that he may have had some really powerful friends in China's upper levels of society, from wealthy businessmen and billionaires, government officials, and maybe even ties to the triads. So either these powerful friends ended up abandoning him in the end when they saw the writing on the wall, or he probably made one of them really angry, or perhaps even overstepped his boundaries and ended up pissing off the wrong person in an even higher position of power that probably wasn't one of his powerful friends. Either way, his name has been completely scrubbed from Shaolin Temple records, and he has already been replaced by a new abbot. I know, China moves insanely fast when it comes to getting shit done. My government could learn a thing or two about that.
Months ago to launch a new condom, and I brought some examples here. A new condom which is called the Max condom. The Max condom is in response to what a number of people were saying. They were saying that the other condom that had been introduced by government did not smell so well, and it made a noise whenever it was used. Now through scientific development, we were able to develop a new condom which is called Max. The Max is for maximum pleasure, maximum protection, and it does not make noise at all. And it comes in different flavors. If you want a grape flavor, you can get a grape flavor. If you want an apple flavor, you can get an apple flavor.
What?
Just a few weeks after the former abbot Shi Yongxin's arrest, a new abbot by the name of Shi Yinle would end up taking his place. Shi Yinle previously had a history of being the head of the White Horse Temple, which is also located in Hainan province, and was apparently China's very first Buddhist temple, first established in 68 AD and predating the Shaolin Temple by at least 429 years. Shi Yinle turns out to be the exact opposite of the deviant Shi Yongxin, and has already begun enforcing major reforms and harsh restrictions on the monks present at the temple, which resulted in about 40 of them already leaving, since they aren't allowed to have fun anymore, according to them that is. Some of these reforms include the halting of all commercial activities, banning high-priced consecration rituals, removing temple shops, promoting monastic self-sufficiency through farming, and overhauling income distribution by eliminating previously criticized admission and ceremonial fees. In his view, the monks have strayed for too long from the spiritual path and have allowed themselves to become hedonistic, greedy, and too indulgent. The new abbot cited examples such as monks ordering takeaway food in meditation rooms or listening to pop music with earphones during chanting, eating meat, which is forbidden within Buddhist monasticism, soliciting prostitutes, and even the use of narcotics and alcohol. He also suspended international tours by the Shaolin Temple's martial arts team, along with cultural and creative shops and online shops that were once key revenue sources. In addition, a bottom-tier elimination system has been put in place, under which monks who fail assessments for 3 consecutive months may be required to leave. The new rules have also imposed a new high level of discipline at the temple. Monks are now required to participate in morning prayers at 4:30 a.m., followed by farming and then martial arts practice in the afternoon. Mobile phones must now be stored in a central storeroom, and all forms of entertainment are banned, with screen time being reduced to just 30 minutes a day. The diet has also become stricter, consisting mainly of vegetables with tofu permitted only once a week and absolutely no meat-based products. The demanding schedule and lifestyle reforms have been humorously dubbed by Chinese netizens as Buddhist 996, in reference to the work culture in some Chinese tech companies where employees work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. The responses from many on Chinese social media platforms were ones of criticism and indignation, but more against those monks and temple staff that have left due to Shi Yinle's reforms, with many pointing out the fact that it seems as if most of the monks during Shi Yongxin's tenure only joined to experience a soft life rather than actually studying the teachings of Buddhism and striving for enlightenment. But this begs the question, what is to become of Shaolin martial arts, an integral part of the temple's long history and culture? Well, as mentioned in my previous video, most martial arts at Shaolin Temple had unfortunately gone the way of mostly being performance-based, being combined with gymnastics, acrobatics and other crowd-pleasing tricks, much like modern contemporary wushu, which is China's national sport. A lot of this was mainly due to the Chinese government deciding to replace traditional Shaolin Kung Fu with the formalized and strictly performance-based wushu, but a lot of it, as I had just learned recently, is also to do with the previous abbot, Shi Yongxin. Much like turning everything else at the Shaolin Temple into a brand, he would also end up approaching martial arts in the exact same way, apparently going so far as forcing Kung Fu schools across China that taught more practical and less flashy forms of Shaolin Kung Fu to either adopt his brand of martial arts, change to teaching something else entirely, or to close down. Now it must be said that while in the early days of the communist regime of China, there was an attempt at suppressing the martial arts, which led to the creation of contemporary and performance-based wushu to at least keep the culture alive. Nowadays, the CCP or CPC's attitude towards the martial arts is not as strict as before. Hence why Sanda, Shuaijiao, traditional Kung Fu, and other martial arts like MMA have gained a foothold and somewhat flourished in the mainland, with there even being various televised events like championships and tournaments such as KLF or the Kunlun Fight Promotion, for those that wish to become pro fighters, and even the UFC having established a Chinese branch there as well. So do not be mistaken into thinking that combat applicable martial arts are non-existent in China, just that in much of the 20th century there was indeed quite a lot of attempt at suppression, which led to a handful of frauds and fakes gaining popularity.
Đánh đá dữ dội, nó lượn lờ lại. Phải giữ an toàn cho mày, tao phải làm chủ hết trong đó. Giờ vô eo cho phụ thượng này. Trên đời này có không?
So far, there isn't any clear indication of what exactly Shi Yinle's goal is regarding Shaolin Kung Fu, but many do speculate that he may intend to take an approach which sees more authentic, practical and combat applicable styles of Chinese martial arts return to the temple, and some even suggesting that he may go so far as to seek out masters from around the world to come and teach legitimate Shaolin Kung Fu to the warrior monks who still remain at the temple. Some of these styles could include more practical and less flashy versions of the 5 animal styles, such as the dragon, crane, tiger, snake and leopard fist styles, as well as the Luohan fist, long fist, southern fist, and maybe even styles that originated outside of the Shaolin Temple but still have some connection to it, like Wing Chun, Hung Gar, and perhaps even Bak Mei. Best believe I'll be making a video about that guy sometime in the future. But all in all, it seems as if the new abbot's intentions are on the straight and narrow, and his aim is to restore the temple to its original purpose, and that is to be a hub of religious and spiritual study with the goal of reaching enlightenment by adhering to Buddhist teachings. As for the martial arts of Shaolin, we will have to wait and see what his plans are regarding that specific aspect of this most sacred and legendary monastery, since Shi Yinle himself isn't exactly a martial monk, so it may even be that he places more of an emphasis on Buddhism rather than on the fighting arts. But I guess only time will tell what sort of effects his strict reforms will have on the future of both the temple and the legacy of Shaolin Kung Fu. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, dear viewers. Thank you for once again tuning into this week's episode of the 8-Bit Academic. I sincerely hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more of my content, I release new videos every Friday, so maybe consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification for weekly updates. Likes and comments on what you thought of the episode are always welcome, and they also help me to gain some traction in the algorithm. Thank you to those who have been supporting and helping this channel grow thus far, and I will see you all next week with a brand new episode of your favorite pixelated professor, the 8-Bit Academic.